In this video, we're going to take our requirements and turn it into the actual elements we need within our game. So creating the background, the title, the buttons, and the guest text. So let's jump in and get our game screen all ready for action. We need our game screen functionality. This is what we want to have it look like. And here is us tagging the different components of this, the different elements. We need the text, we need our background, we need to have our dialogue before the guest, we need to have the guest itself, as well as a background for the text. We need our 3 buttons. So listing this out as a challenge to you, if you want to jump in and take this on as a challenge, here is what we need. Here is what I'd like you to do. Prepare your game screen. We need the heading, which I've tagged as number 1, the main background tagged as 2, the 3 buttons, 3, 4, 5, where is 6? 6 is the dialogue text, just a little bit of flavor leading into the guest, so you know that this thing right here is the guest. Underneath the guest, I've got, this is item 7 here, I've got a little background, and then the guest text is on top of the background. Make sure you take note of where you need parent and child relationships, so the guest text should be a child to this text box, so the background that we've got, that the text is underneath here, so that if you move around this box, it'll move around the text as well. So that is the requirements, that's the challenge. Jump in, take that on now, and when you come back, I'll go through a quick flow of me adding my elements to my game. Okay, welcome back. Let's see if we can do this fast and furious, or at least, you know, efficiently. That's what we want to do. I'm going to start off with the buttons, actually. So if I click on my success button here, where are we in terms of our canvas? Here we go, canvas. I'm going to duplicate that and drag it up a little bit. We will call this, what does this one need to be? It needs to be our higher button. Higher, makes sense that higher is on the top. Higher, great. You can hear me bashing away on my keyboard. It's a little bit loud today, I think, on my keyboard. And we need to, we'll leave this for now. Actually, I'll turn this off. We'll do no function. We don't want to accidentally click on that and do something. We'll be hooking up that functionality in the next video or 2. We need to change the text on our higher button. Instead of being called success, it should be called higher. And the text itself should be higher. And then from here, that's pretty good with that. I'm going to duplicate the higher button and create ourselves a lower button. Lower button, doink, doink, doink. Wonderful. And looking at the text as well, it currently says higher text. We need this to be called lower text. And we will type the word lower. Finally, click on my move tool, move it down below. Whoops, we need to grab the entire button, not just the text. Drag it down there. There we go, higher. Success and lower. Success might not be the right word there. We can change that later on. Probably like you got it, or what do we say in our specs? That's it. So we'll change that later on, but for now we just want to get in our functionality. Okay, next what I wanted to do on my list here was to create a heading. So into the canvas, right click, UI Text Mesh Pro. I will move my Text Mesh Pro element up to the top and create something in here that is something along the lines of I shall attempt to read your mind. And these things I was saying before about challenge and solution, so much easier when we've already just mapped out in a, you know, I did this in the Google Slides that I've got here. I mapped this out in here. You can do this in PowerPoint, you can do it in Excel, Word, you can do it on a piece of paper, but mapping out your wireframe, that is, what are the elements you need and roughly where do they go, makes this process in Unity so much easier and more efficient when you've already mapped out a little diagram like that. So what we need to do next is just make our text box a little bit bigger. Click on my T tool here so I can give ourselves a bit more space. Drag it that way, drag it that way. I'm going to push the game screen over there a little bit for now. I'll leave the font as it is. I'll change the font later on, perhaps make it 80 just so it's nice and big. This exercise is going to be less about making it look pretty and more about just getting it in the place we want it. I will do center alignment. I shall attempt to read your mind. Okay, that looks similar to what we're going for. Next up, canvas, right click, UI. We will put in a image. That would be an image if I was to speak proper English. We will use this to just create a little bit of a different color to show this is where the action is taking place. Now it's gone and plonked over the top. So what we need to do is drag it all the way up to the top. So now it'll sit down the very bottom. Did I not drag that to the right spot? Undo. This time I'll actually will drag it all the way up to the top. There we go. There's our image. Change our color of the image to similar to what I had before. Some sort of bluish type color. There we go. Again, not finessing the colors just yet. Functionality first. Functionality over form as a first step. Now, where do we want this anchored? We should be thinking about that. I'll leave my anchor points in the middle for now. I think I want that. I don't think I want it stretching to the outside. We can play around with our anchor points later on. For now, we're getting in the functionality. So we've got our background there. What is next on our list? We've got the heading, we've got our background, we've got dialogue text comes next. So right click, Canvas, UI, another Text Mesh Pro. Just going to use Text Mesh Pro all the time at the moment. Drag it over a little bit. Nope, drag over the entire element. Get in a little bit closer. There we go. And for this one, again, I will center a line. What are we typing in here? We are typing in, my guess is, dot. Okay, make the font a little bit bigger. Say 60. That looks decent. And white is fine for now. White is fine. Just something that I should be paying attention to as I go along. What have we called this? Text Mesh Pro Text. That's no good. We need to call it Heading Text. Make sure you're always updating your name so you know exactly what's going on. The one we just added here should be called, for me, Dialogue Text. Okay, cool. This is making progress. What else did I not name? Background, I didn't name. Background. Okay, success button is named, higher button is named, lower button is named, heading text, dialogue text, and background are all named. Okay, next aspect is right-click on Canvas, UI, and we need another image. This image I will move down into the middle, roughly around here. Make this one a yellowy color. I think I'll change my buttons pretty soon from yellow to something else. I'll make the guest nice and yellow under the image here. Change the name of this to Guess Background. Okay, going pretty fast here, but you could always slow the video down to, say, half speed if you wanted. Got our text box. There we go. It's called Guess Background. Next up, I want to child underneath my little background here. Right click on Guess Background, UI, and Text Mesh Pro Text. Again, it's in white. That's not very good. Need to change the color. Come down to Color Vertex. Make this a darkish kind of color, I think works. And then I will put in here 3 question marks, 1, 2, 3, to signify that our number's probably going to be, well, it could be up to 4, couldn't it? So we'll have 4 in there. So make sure 4 can fit. And then the size I'll pump up to 80. Yep, that looks pretty good. And then move the positioning of that a little bit more. Now with this, I do want to anchor the guess. We need to name this first before I do about anchors. Name this as guess. Guess text is what we need to call that. Guess text, I think, is good. Yep. And then I will anchor this to stretch, and that should stretch to the parent that it's sitting within. That's great. So if we were to move around the guess background, then the guess goes with it. Or if we were to stretch it, then it should stay in the middle. What have we not done in here? We should move the boxes of our actual Text Mesh Pro element to the outside, just to be thorough with that, and then to center align that, as well as just expand my inspector, middle of the box here. So all of these elements on the guest should be all lined up. A little bit finicky here, some of these aspects. There we go. All of them should be lined up around where the actual guest background is. So then now if I move the guest background, you can see that it stays centered within that, both on the horizontal and on the vertical. Wonderful. So let's do a little checklist here. What have we got? I shall attempt to read your mind. That's our heading. We've got higher, success lower. We've got my guess is. We've got the guess text in there. We've named everything as it should be so we can easily find it. And that's important that we can find it so that we know what to assign when we're saying where the text should go when we're doing a guess. So that is us. That is our game screen, all created, ready to go, all prepared. Great work. Hopefully yours looks as nifty as mine. Hopefully it looks even niftier. I'd love to see some screenshots if you'd like to share what you've come up with, share your color approach and share what you've done. And I'll see you in the next lecture where we'll start to get our code that we previously created in Number Wizard console. We'll get it all ready so that we can start feeding into our actual game. Great work. See you soon.